good.
All right, say live on Facebook.
Okay, yes, sir. We straight. All right, boom. Man, that was just a little interruption, but it's all good. Right now, we're back on Off the Record with Brother DRon. Thank you
Hey,
all for watching and tuning in for this great conversation that we're excited about having this evening. Brother DRon, you were explaining to us when did you start the process of or begin to hear the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad?
yeah. I'm like brother Josh. Uh, thank you, brother, for first inviting me as your special guest. That's really big. That's weighty for me. Um, and I just want to thank you and your listening audience, bro, for giving me this audience and giving me the opportunity to express myself. I'm still having a little difficulty wrapping my mind around how you have always addressed me and given me uh, a lawfully title, you know, and I still don't understand how I get the interview, but I'm gonna just take it as a gift, and I wanted to thank you, brother, for
Thank you,
honoring
sir.
me in the way that you have and allowing me, bro, to give my expression of Islam and share some of the history uh, that had me walk in this direction. It was early on. I would say I was in youth detention, and youth detention. I was in YA when I first heard of the teachings of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that was about 1986,
Mm.
87, and uh, one of the brothers that was older than me, uh, he didn't eat pork, and we
Mm.
used to scrape in jail. We would scrape our the paint off of the desk. The desks are made of metal, and we would cook the meat. And me being a savage, a Negro, you know, I would love to see like what they having in the sandwich. I would peek out the door. They'd be like, "We having pork." I'm like, "Yeah," because he not gonna eat his, so I can eat mine. It's terrible. And I would, hey, Josh, look. So look, this ain't gonna be the conventional, brother. Eat, you know, eat what they say, choke a stick,
Yes,
eat
sir.
a
Yes,
brick,
sir.
drown a glass of water. No, that's not how I came to this, brother. Not at all. So me
Mm.
being a savage, I'm hungry, so I'm looking to eat. So I would always fry the meat. And so the brother, my homeboy name was Junebug. I'm 17 and he's 25. He was a lot older than me. And he would say, "Man, you gonna learn." And I used to look at him. I I would still eat the meat, but it always had amazed me how much discipline he had. Cause he used to be like,
Mm.
"Man, it smelled good, but I ain't eating that." So he started giving me the teaching. So Junebug
Mm.
started uh, reading, and they used to read like pamphlets uh, from the Panthers, from the Black Panther movement. And you know, at that point, I knew how to pronounce words, but for say I could not read because when I know what reading means now, I could not comprehend the words. You know, so I could pronounce them. I knew what they meant, but at that time, looking back, I didn't really understand. But then I began to digest the Panthers because we were militant in the street. We were radical in the street. So hearing the Panthers and listening to them having the breakfast program, and then so that caught my attention. You know, they was carrying guns and they was standing up to the law enforcement. That uh that drew my attention. I'm like, hold up, wait, I'm with that, because that's that's what I was that's the life that I live. And then so just listening to them and how they was coming together. So you looking at Bobby Sales, you looking at Little Jonathan. When I'm reading Blood in My Eyes, I'm reading uh about Huey P. Newton and Black August, all of these things that came from there. Then I ran into this phrase that they would call themselves the Sons of Malcolm. And I was
Mm.
like, wow, well, who is Malcolm? Then I got the autobiography of Malcolm X. Then after that, I ran into someone named Elijah. And uh, so me reading the message to the black man, it stunned me, because me being a Negro, I was like, who he think he is? This is me. Look, bro, I'm telling you, look, it's not that type of conversation with me. I'm bucking up against the messenger of God. I don't know, brother. I've been made other than myself. So understand me being made other than myself at that particular time, brother. I'm upside down, you know? So I'm questioning, like, how you gonna tell somebody how to write the Bible? How the Bible should have been written? Because I've been whitewashed. You know, my enemies have always looked like me. Every enemy that I've known in my life that have came against me that I knew person that I went to combat with was somebody that dressed like me, and they just was from a different street or had a different angle. But so that's how I began to read the message to the black man. And then I was on the trade yard and we was beginning to walk one day, and one of my homeboys said, you starting to act like a Muslim. And I turned around and I chased him. And so everybody trying to like break us up. And I'm really, because he disrespected me. You know what I'm saying? Put some respect on my name. You know, I'm silly, bro. You got to remember who you dealing with right now. So at that time, I didn't want nothing to do with Islam. And then I had people that was in, and it was a brother that worked in juvenile hall in CYA where I was at. It was called YTF, Youth Training Center. And they would bring the final call in. So, you know, we'd get a final call here and there. And that's when I began to approach the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as it's taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that was in 1986.
Okay. 1 second, Bro DRon, because I'm gonna have to keep, because the people in the question are asking the questions. They need some clarity on. Sister Deshawn, alaikum salam. My sister said, can you please clarify? My sister Miriam said, could you clarify when you said y'all cooked the death story? Could you explain that?
Oh, well, they paint the death, and we would take at that time, because you can have matches. So we would actually take a towel or take the toilet paper and wrap it up, and you'll scrape the paint off the desk and make it like a grill, because innovation is the mother of creativity. You know, so I mean, you know, so we was innovative. So we would make that actually a grill by setting it on fire by a towel, or you would use toilet paper, and then we'll put the meat on it and cook our meals, because they gave us cold cuts.
Okay, thank you for clearing that. And my sister says, thank you for sharing your journey with us. Walaikum salam, Naima. Brother Benson, walaikum salam, sir.
Okay, brother. Sister Naima.
Walaikum salam. Now listen, Brother DRon, when you said you go to the youth facility, right? In the streets, you were known as Tank, or known as Tank. Could you please explain Little Tank? Could you please explain how you were able to survive in a cold, like the West Coast, the LA, the gang environment, and not be a statistic or be killed?
Wow. And anybody to tell you how they did it and that it's a foolproof plan, they're going to lie to you. So I say by the grace and mercy of Allah, that Allah has saved me, brother, to be here, to be of this age. I never thought that I would reach the age of 12, because I had older brothers, my brother Big Tank, my brother Rocky, and my brother Sarah. These were my older brothers, and they had all, proceeded to gangbang before me. So that was what I identified with as looking up to my big brothers, not having a parent, a father in the home, with a beautiful mother that just worked 2 and 3 jobs, Brother Joshua, to provide for us, put us in Catholic schools, Christian schools. She did everything to try to save us from, taking the path that we ultimately wind up taking in street life. So it was a behavior that we just adapted to. And it was a culture that took on, it was fast moving. It was very rapid. when the gangs began to take off. And then I came up in the time where in the early 80s, mid 80s, to where gangs were at their height, where the murders was at their height, because that's when the drugs began to come into our community. That's when and the drugs came with the guns, you know. And so it was just it was a back and forth, and it was, you know, being from where I was from Hoover. Hoover with Crips. It was Hoover Crip gang, but now they say Hoover criminal, because everything changes. So at that particular time, as being young, being 10, 11, growing up amongst grown men, that I did what I saw. And I learned that type of behavior from individuals that went before me. So how I made it, brother, I don't know. How that bullet passed my head, I don't know. How a person that stood next to me got killed and I survived, I couldn't tell you that. I just say by the grace and mercy of Allah that I'm here, that I have you know, survived that part of gang warfare in the city of Los Angeles.
Praise be to Allah. How many times were you locked up?
I have 36 arrests, and now it's 38. As a Muslim, I have 2 arrests, but I have 36 arrests from the time I was 9 up until the time I think I was like 32.
And when you were the one when you were sentenced to, or you were facing death row, what was your mindset? What was your mindset going into that, and how did you overcome that?
Looking back, we didn't flinch, because that was part that came with gangbanging. Going in, I had just came home from YA. I wasn't out a year. So when I did unfortunately get rounded up, I was the first of 5 people to get arrested for a double murder, 3 attempts. And unfortunately, most of the people that got arrested before me, are the witnesses, identified me as being the perpetrator or someone that committed these heinous acts. And going to jail, it was just part of it. So, you know, you don't have no time to think when you're in jail, because the jail are filled with nothing but your enemy. So by me being from Hoover don't get along with no other gang in Los Angeles. Crips and our blood at that time. We have very few allies. So going in there, it was just as soon as the gates wrapped. You know, we would have a saying, "Let the gates be the bell." You know how it's a bell song when in the ring, when you know, when the bell, everybody come out and fight. It was like, "Let the gates be the bell," and that's what it was. You know, and I was young. I was very active. I was adamant. You know, at that particular time, you know, I had my brushes with Islam, but I knew what it was. So, and you know, you being in there and people feel that you were behind the deaths of their homeboys, you know, they coming at you, but they didn't have to wait long, because I made sure I went at them, and that's always been my strategy. My best offense is my defense. I was never one who gonna wait and ponder and guess about what somebody else gonna do. I'm gonna take off first. So that was my mindset.
Yes, sir. Now, Brother DRon, a question that I've asked with many of the, especially the young people in Atlanta, people who are infatuated with like jail life, thinking it's cool. Could you please share like something that kind of like on some scare straight? Like, can you tell these young people like why it's not cool to go to prison, bro, or not cool to face? Like, please.
The reason why I smile is because you gotta be either real young, dumb, stupid, or a combination of all of the same. Because I remember when I first went to juvenile hall and we was eating some cornflakes, with no sugar. And I asked the guard for some sugar, right? I said, they didn't give me sugar for my cornflakes. And everybody looking at me, but I'm the youngest person in here. And they were like, man, you don't get sugar, you don't get nothing. And I remember telling somebody, I said, man, this fun. I remember telling my homeboy Worm, I said, Worm, I said, man, this fun. And he looked at me. They was like, something wrong with this dude, right? Because where I was at in Los Padrinos, they had a swimming pool and they had peacocks and a dog that ran around by my unit. So I thought that was, but I was real young. Maybe might have been 11, maybe 10, and just stupid. So it's not fun, but this is my spiel when I talk to dudes now, and I just tell them, hey man, what pen you plan on going to? Because from the way you making decisions, I can see where you trying to go. And when you get there, I try to tell them to tell one of my homeboys that got life, tell him I said what's up. And I always I use that type of sarcasm, but it's real life. Like just for instance, today I was telling one of my homeboys because it was a shooting for 4 people just got shot when we was at the mall. So a few of the brothers, we went down there to see what was going on and see, get behind it, do the investigations. But anyways, I went to my neighborhood because it was close, and I was telling my homeboy, I said, hey man, I remember that look, because he was just facing life, and I used to go to court for him. And I used to sit in back of the court because that's the type of homeboy that I want to be to my people. I can't be active with you, but I'm gonna support you when you down. So he remembered looking in back when he turned around, he seen me in the courtroom. I said, damn, I said, you remember that look you had in court, right? Because now he back, he active, you know what I'm saying? He gang banging, selling drugs. I can't condemn a man, but I said, hey, why don't you give me $50? Because when you used to call me, that's expensive. So you might as well give me some money for your phone time right now. You know what I'm saying? And yes, then I tell these young dudes, I'll be like, look, man, when you go there, make sure you don't get in a cell with Boogie, because the homie Boogie be raping dudes. And I use real names, and I'll be like, he gonna have sex with you. So, you a real small dude, so you better, dude gonna try to impregnate you. So these are the, hey, I'm just telling you, bro. If you ask me a question and I told you it's gonna be like,
no, I get it.
So those that fell down from heaven,
yes, sir,
they might want to leave this one alone. But that's my approach, because you can't scare nobody, man. These dudes ain't scared to die, because they really tired of living because of the plighted or the blighted community that we're from living in abject poverty, man, where you right next to Hollywood and you see Bentleys and you see all of these type of things, and then you sitting here with want and hunger, and dissatisfaction, and so it's no scaring them, but I just give them a dose of that hard reality and be like, man, you might want to check, make sure that that's the direction that you want to go. Accept your consequence before you accept your benefit. So know what you're doing. So that's my language when I talk to you, and I talk to individuals that are on the brink of going in that direction.
Yes, sir. Okay, Brother DRon, my sister Miriam says, what is your practical advice for parents who want to guide their children away from gang life and culture?
Man, gang, it's a trip right now, because when we say, I have children, and I used to keep my children away from it, but it's like it's handheld now. It's in the music, it's in the culture, it's in the fabric. And so when we start to try to shelter them, and it's been made fair seen, and so that type of evil, and it's like I have to belong to something because people are looking for an identity. And it's with me, I was real hands-on with my son Malik. Like whatever I did, he had to do. I kept him real close to me, and I don't actually have that answer, because now that he's gotten older, now that he's 18 and he's 23 now, he has got out and began to explore things with himself. Even though I kept him away from that, even though I made it to where he was safe in my community and people knew that that was my son, the advice that I would give is to try to keep him as close to you as possible, but also know what it is that we're facing. Because the things that I learned, I never learned in my household. I never learned how to sell drugs. My mother wasn't a drug addict. My mother wasn't on welfare. I mean, anything that I learned in my house, the golden rule, it just wasn't applicable when I walked outside and opened up my front gate. I couldn't apply it to that because it was a dog eat dog. And when you walk through that alley, you got, it was fight or flight. And so it's pretty much the environment, I would say, because environment is stronger than heredity.
Yes, sir.
So you could say, if we grew up in this environment and this is what it's styled as, then that's going to have more of a gravitational pull. So I would say with especially young boys, but now it's also girls that's really more in the way out here now, and it's keep them active, keep their mind on that, and study your children like I tried to do, and whatever that it was that he took an interest in, I tried to make sure that I supported it as long as it was good and right.
Praise be to Allah. Great answer, Brother DRon, and great question, Sister Miriam. Brother DRon, when you were in, you said you remember the look that he had when you visited him. Do you remember people who came to visit you, and how important was that to people who came to visit you when you were locked up?
Man,
If you
I had scandalous people come visit me, because one thing that I did, look, bro, I was always able to hustle. I've always, since I was a boy, since my neighborhood is where Freeway Rick grew up. So getting money has always been easy for me. Getting large sums of cash has always been my form of addiction, because since I was 19, I stopped drinking. I didn't smoke. I didn't do any of those type of things. It was just money and women. That's what I was on. But it was more so money, because once you get the money, then come the power, and then the rest. So
yes, sir.
hey,
Yes, sir.
but pretty much when they would come visit me, because you can have money in the county jail, you can have up to $40. But I had narcotics in jail because the COs would bring it in. So I sold cigarettes, I sold cocaine, I sold weed, and I sold candy, because I've always, so I would have, at any given time, brother, I would have, and you only can have $40, mind you. I would have $8,000. I would have 6,500, and I just take it to the police, and the police will take you to the hole, just another part of the jail that's in jail. And once I went to the hole, somehow they still find me over there, and they still buying the narcotics that I had. So when people would come visit me, it was because they wanted a loan, man. I used to loan people money from jail. So I don't really remember having that type of a support outside. I did have a few, but pretty much I didn't want you to take my visits anyways, because I wanted to send money out, and that's how I was sending my money out to the streets.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you, Brother DRon. And Minister Jamil says, this is a beautiful, humble brother. Thank you very much, Uncle Jamil. Okay, Brother DRon. Right now, everything is going on with Nipsey Hussle. Could you give us some insight? Because right now everybody's online, or people from around the country. Could you let us know what it's like from somebody who's still connected to LA and the gang culture, and still have a connection to the streets? What's really going on with the Nipsey Hussle situation?
What I can share over, and mindful, we on Facebook, so of course I can't share everything that we could talk about, but in a nutshell, I want to thank Mas 27, brother Abdul Malik, Sadiq Muhammad, formerly known as Minister Tony Muhammad. Um, this is something that we've been on for since he came from Atlanta. So when you start talking to peace in the streets, we've been very active. And I was in the streets when he first came to LA in 1995, if I'm had that date corrected. But um, with the Nipsey Hussle piece, Minister Farrakhan gave us a very good perspective on how to lift scripture and to see Nipsey as he is, not as he was, in his former state. My hood is don't get along with 60. My neighborhood, which is Hoover's, and 60 is one of the biggest hoods, have a long feuding war with the neighborhoods, and they're part of the neighborhood car. And again, me being from Hoover, so me being able to go to ground zero at the Marathon shop was a testament in itself for me to be over there for over 2 weeks, and for brothers to respect my Islam, first of all, and others that I have actively gangbanged against, those who have actively gangbanged against me, and that Islam united us. So when we were over there, of course, we brought order, we brought structure, we brought peace as the Nation of Islam, as FOI, under our captain, Halim Muhammad. And the brothers began to work, and we began to get order, we began to get peace, and the people would sing the praises of the minister with us being there, because they were relieved to see the Nation of Islam being active and being in assistance to the security concerns and to address the needs of our people. I don't want to get into a lot of the rumors, because they got a big rumor that the girl who drove the getaway car was supposed to be from 74 Hoover, which was a member of 74 Hoover, which I still have brothers and family members that's active members, but it's all a lie. You got a lot of people online right now making up scenarios. You got a few brothers that are attached to the Nation of Islam that want to be internet celebrities. It was a military hit. I seen 3 Black Hawk helicopters downtown, and it was I mean, I'm for real, bro. It was disheartening, because it unravels the work that we're actively doing in the street. And so, everybody wanted to have their say. And then, Nasheed, what's the name? Tariq Nasheed.
Yes, sir.
So he come in, and I pulled him to the side, and I asked him if he would stop, making these claims, which was unsubstantiated, because he makes my work a lot harder. And so my neighborhood had an issue when all of the so-called gangs, because it's no such thing as a peace treaty in Los Angeles right now. That's something that went out. Of course, people embellish, but people are still dying. But we have a great opportunity, especially from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan addressing us, attending the memorial, and coming to ground zero at Nipsey's, where brother was slain. And it has given us life again in our mind. And you can see the jail, you can see our unity, and you can see where the people are requiring our need, and what we have in particular as being Muslim followers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, under the leadership and guidance, divine guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And we're applying that same healing to the scars and to the wounds that gang activity, that street life, and just being thugs and being other than ourselves has left a scourge in our communities and our neighborhoods alike. So if there's anything in particular you would like to know, I can.
Oh no, sir. No, sir.
that.
Just in general, from somebody who's observing, because I get sent at least 8 conspiracy theory videos a day on YouTube. People texting me this was going on. I'm like, let me talk to somebody who really out there.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. And again, you know, and it be coming from brothers that wear these. And that's like,
Yes,
I'm brothers, stop. You know, you got enough views on your social media with, you know, with, but and it's important for me to say this, brother. I deny interviews all the time. And it just goes back, brother, to who you are, because you got to be somebody, brother, for me to say, hey, yeah, I get in front of a camera. Oh, I subject myself because I don't think that my work is done. You know, I don't think my Islam hold up the weight yet. You know, with the interviews that you have done with the Rashads, with the men with sultans, with the, you know, I can just go on and on and on. So, but if there's anything in particular, because I'm not going to volunteer a whole bunch when it comes to that.
Listen, it's all good, Brother Ron.
No,
but Brother Ron, speaking on that point,
yes,
brother, for what you have done, you have been a mentor and a big homie to me for many years, and to many people. I'm not just in the West Coast, but people when Brother Rashad, when we were doing holding posts with Most Farrakhan for all those years, the 5 o'clock in the morning training and hopping up the cars, and you was right there. And you and Brother Marcus on the West, everybody who y'all was in front of us. So I'm always gonna honor you, bro. You put in a lot of work, and your work is not, of course, not done, but your ministry, your testimony, it's inspiring, and you give us connections to the people that we trying to go after. So I respect that, Brother DRon.
I still, and let me just add to that. And what I mean by that, bro, is I still have residues of my old self that's in me, and I still got a D-boy mentality, not this new D-boy. I'm telling you the truth because we move in silence, you know. So
yes, sir.
I've always had this saying: I'd rather be felt than seen, you know. I'm not the type of dude that's going, you know, always run my mouth to be heard. I rather under promise and over deliver. That's always been my get down. But to be in front of cameras and embellishing and, you know, driving traffic, that's just something that I shy away from. Even you know, when we on details, I hate when they get me on camera, brother, because I try to make sure everything else is right. You know, I try to make sure the perimeters are clean. I try to make sure, you know, that I'm on post, because usually when I come around, I just want to work, you know, and I'm not, you know, and you could, you know, I'm not there for a photo op. So that's just me.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate that. And I appreciate all you all's questions and comments. Brother DRon, was there ever a time, whether in the nation or outside the nation, that you felt afraid for your life?
Brother Joshua, I never thought I was going to make 12 years old. I never thought I'd see that. And you have to remember that, bro. So every day that I've lived have been an extension. Every day that I get up, I say that this is a good day to die, but not dying on being foul, not dying, but running and being one of the only brothers that I know that's getting up, going in the fire, because that's where I came from. I made a statement to you earlier. I said, brother, I believe that Allah broke me hard to make me harder. And that's what temper steel is. I don't arrogate those things to myself. And that's why I said I'd rather not say anything, because if I really was to get on here and tell you, hey, just in the last week, just what I did, and you're gonna have comments, man, that nigga lying, like, yeah, ain't no way in hell, you know, that this is what happened and who he went with, and you know what I'm saying? So I choose to not announce the things that I've done, but um, I want my work to be able to speak for me. Um, so when we're out in the streets, I don't look at it as if, you know, I'm gonna lose my life, because I'm reminded of a scripture that says those who seek to save their lives will
Yes,
lose
sir.
their lives, and those who seek to lose their lives will save their lives. And I
Yes, sir.
remember when Minister Tony came out here, who's Abdul Malik, when he came out to LA, and I used to meet with him, and I used to have real long hair, brother. Uh, hey,
It's
it
all good.
happened
It's
to the
all good.
best.
It's all good. We out here together.
It happened to the best of us. But my daughter and my baby got it now. So
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
So look, and I would tell brother, I said, man, it was a time that I would die for a street. It was a time that I'd die for nothing, and I damn sure died for something. And I've shown the FOI that even when I wasn't in the mosque, when the brothers would call me with a situation where there was street activity, or the brothers in my community, because the mosque is in Hoover neighborhood. So at that particular time, I had a big, I had a recording label. I was a millionaire. But I was in the street. So when I would come to the mosque, what y'all call, I come with foreign cars, and uh, I used to look at some of the brothers, how they would marvel at that, but I was always fighting to get from that world to be a FOI. Brother Josh, I remember, brother, being in back of one of my cars, and I'm with my crew, and all my crew is solid. And I would say, man, one day, whenever I get hard, listen to the language, that's what I'm going to be. And they looking at me like, hey, yo, this did something in open daylight at the mall. What you mean when you get hard? But they didn't understand what I was saying. When I get the heart to leave out of the lifestyle that I had become accustomed to, that's what I would be. So if you ask the brothers in Los Angeles, they'll tell you that I would buy all of your pies. If you had 20 pies, brother, I'm buying all 20 of them. And however many papers you had, I'll cash you out for your papers. That's the type of love that I had developed for the nation. But again, I had this weight and these impediments that was called getting major money and women that was in my way, so but I always loved the believers. And when I would come to the mosque, they would try to sit me down front, and I would be like, no, I don't want to go down front. I'm like, what have I done to deserve to be at the front? Like I'm a VIP in Allah's house. You know what I'm saying? In a place of worship. So I would never do that. And I would bring my homeboys. So I bring a bunch of dudes, but we still in the world. So the sisters sit on the right side when we had the big mosque on Vermont, and all my homeboys would just be like this, looking at all the MGT. And I used to try to stop them, right? Because, but this is just the love, brother, that I've seen that emanated from the teachings of the messenger. And I would look at the brothers and I would say, if I had the heart to be told no, to be looked up on as a paper boy, to, you know what I'm saying? Because it takes, man, that's some heart for somebody to be telling you, be on their phone like, man, get away from my window, man.
Yes,
And then they look at you,
I'm aware.
brother, and I can't tell you I survived all them skirmishes. I can't tell you y'all be proud of me. I didn't drop my papers a few times. Get out there. Hey, bro.
Yes,
I got to tell the truth, man, but it
Yes,
helped me to develop and to become more patient. And yeah, that's pretty much, man, on that note, man, where I'm
okay,
going.
excellent, Brother DRon. And thank you. And Sister Miriam, I'm about to ask you a question. Speaking of that, I gotta give the people who sponsored this podcast, my sister Miriam, ABC, I Love Me, get that book on Amazon, and my brother Politically Oppressed, a street premiere if y'all need your videos edited or something in the form of music, or hit my brother up. My sister Miriam says, what was it that made you finally decide to come into the nation?
My wife, I had engaged her. I was engaged to her in, I proposed to her. We was mixing down one of my artists named Tiger. We was mixing down her album. We had just finished her album. We was mixing it down in Hollywood, and I proposed to her. And I gave her a ring, but the ring was like 15,000, right? 15 and some change. And so I was like, I was gonna take her to Hawaii, and we was gonna get married. And so I was like, damn, I need to get this money back. I was thinking, me, I'm thinking like, damn, let me get this 15. So I wind up jumping on a plane with a kilo because I figured I can make that quick money and pick up the rest of my money that was out of town. I had somebody that owed me over $250,000, so I wanted to go get that. So I jumped on a plane, and when I got off the plane for a layover in Dallas Fort Worth, it was some white people, man, that wanted to talk to me. So at that particular time, they took me in the bathroom, and they was like, "Do you mind if we search?" I was like, "No, I don't got nothing," and I don't know the law, at that level. But they was like, they started touching me. Then they felt I had on a waistband. Then they touched my back, and they were like, "What is that?" I was like, "I don't know what it is. What? I don't got nothing." So I'm playing dumb, and then they like lifted up. They were like, he took it off, and he was like, "What is it?" I was like, "I don't know. It's yours. You can have it." Well, I'm thinking that they some dirty cops. Y'all want it, y'all can have it. Just let me go. But they was like, "No, hey." From that day forward, bro, I never saw the streets again. They wouldn't give me a bond because the feds play a different way. So I went to the federal pen, and when they put me in a holding cell, again, I was okay with money. I had property, big commercial properties, and I was like, I'm gonna get bond. They was like, "No, you ain't gonna get no bond." They was like, "But if you want, you can keep going and you can help us, and we'll let you out." And I'm looking at them. I'm like, I was like, "Man, what?" I was like, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't no snitch." They start calling other police in. They was like, "Hey, come here." They were like, "We got one. Look, when the last time we had one that wouldn't cooperate with us?" And I was like, "Damn, everybody telling." And that's when I didn't know, bro. But and everybody, and I sat there, and then they took me from the airport to a court, and I've never seen that before. They denied me bail, and the first thing they gave me was a financial declaration to declare everything you got, how many cars you got, do you own property, do you got an inheritance. They want to know what you worth on paper because they give you big fines, and that's when I didn't know. So, but I do remember this when I was in the holding cell. Allah told me now it's time, because when I started wanting to get married, when I started to want to try to conform and leave the streets alone, because I had decided I wasn't going to sell narcotics no more. I had moved fully into my music, which is Infinite Groove Entertainment. And so again, we was mixing down. I had like about 5, 6 different artists, and we got a studio up with 2 rooms. I owned the building. We were there. So I'm like, I made it. And so Allah was like, "Now turn it in." And then everything that I had at that time, my Lexus, my trucks, my everything, all of that stuff began to dissipate. Like Rolexes, I didn't care about the jewelry. I was like, "Y'all can sell it." And the people that was with me, the feds didn't take nothing, but subsequently, I lost everything that I had before I came home. So that's what broke me. That's what made me stop. And then when I went to the Fed, I just turned it in, and I started functioning with the FOI. And so that's the reason why I love the Houston brothers so much. My 45 is because those brothers, Brother Fidel, Brother Wilbur, Brother John, all of those brothers, Terrell, these brothers, they active in the mosque now in Houston. And these the brothers that, they seen a gang member. They seen me always fighting on the court. They seen, and they just enveloped me, man. And they love me, bro. And they nurse me to health. And that's what had me to fully come in. And I promised myself from that point forward that I was done with the street life. And to this day, I haven't returned to that to the street life in terms of selling narcotics, in terms of uh, breaking the law as far as gang banging and things of that nature.
Praise be to Allah. That's an excellent testimony, and thank you, Sister Miriam, for your question. Brother DRon, we have some questions for you, sir. Do you have some moment to take these questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, so brother, I want to start with your son because it's nepotism, of course. We got to look out for your blood first. Your son, brother Malik Khalid Muhammad says, tell him to talk about his cool son.
Coolest dude ever, man.
Yes, sir. Brother Ronald says, did any of your street partners come in with you, or have they came in since?
I got one of my day one homeboys. He just came home from doing 20 years in the Fed. His name is Lamar Williams on Facebook. That was my homeboy, Lil Shady, and he began to study. And he's in Albuquerque, New Mexico right now. And that's my homeboy. My other people, they have always been receptive to Islam, but to come in and be a FOI, no. I've had plenty of people. I brought over, 30, 40 Hoovers out at one time to the mosque, but none have stuck and become registered members.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your work and thank you for your question, sir. Brother Kenyon says, what are some similarities / differences in being an OG in the hood versus an OG among the younger generation Muslims?
Oh, man. That's a good question, Brother Kenyon. Being in the hood is a different thing because it's a pecking order, and the way that I carried it, I was always in a position of power. So when you're in a position of power, you will influence, and I always had strength. So those are just some things that I embody. That's just who I am. Uh, I've never been a weak person. I have a big heart. If I love you, I love you. But if I'm against you, I'm against you. Period. And so being in the streets is different because you're only known by your work. It ain't about what you say or who your daddy is or any of that. Fighting every gang that's in Los Angeles and still standing on your own, that's a hell of a task. So everywhere you went, you ran into enemy, and we was up and running. So I never thought too much about being a big homie in the streets, but coming in to Islam, it's a big gap in the mind. You have when I first came in 2003, that's when I came home from the Fed, you had really, really young dudes. And then it go all the way. It's no middle ground. It's not even no middle sisters. So you got real older sisters or sisters in their 40s or whatever. And then you got younger people. And then so they begin, it's a big gap. And sometimes they'll see you, and when you start to develop, and I don't want to disparage the younger brothers because they figure that they have something to prove. A lot of them is on this money tip right now, and money has always been, to me, my Achilles heel. I've in the type of money that they claim that they get, and that wasn't real money to me. So I've always had to deny myself and be humble and to accept less. So I never once, brother, since I've been home, came home and tried to, like they say, go get that bag. I tried to come home and push the standard of Islam and lay the foundation for when dudes know that they know of my pedigree. You can check, brother, and I implore people, if you know anything about this, because you got a lot of people that have come in the ranks and they'll say that this is who I am as it relates to the street. Not that you need that, because a man is a man, but you don't have to begin to create these pages of your past that they're not articulable facts. You know what I'm saying? You can't go and nobody knows you. And so those are just some of the things, bro, that I see. My phone blanked out. I'm gonna have to plug this in. Could you give me a second?
Yes, sir.
All right, give me 1
Go
second.
ahead.
But I can
Why
hear
brother?
you. I can hear you though.
Yes, sir. While Brother DRon is plugging his phone in, I want to thank you all again. You all get on YouTube and subscribe to Off the Record with Dr. Muhammad to see us post the full video. Also, I want to make sure that I represent for where I'm from, Naperville, stand up. Yeah, you already know what it is. I'm certified out there. If y'all didn't know, just check my resume. Naperville, New York. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what time it is. Brother DRon. I'm waiting for Brother DRon to come back.
I gotta plug this phone in, man.
Yes, sir. Do it. Take your time. While waiting on Brother DRon, I wanted to thank Brother King says all praises to Allah. Thank you for taking my. Oh man, Brother King, it's all love. Yes, sir. And thank
tell
everyone else.
Brother Kenya, is that Brother Kenya from LA?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, that wasn't a swipe, man. I'm proud of the young brothers from going about it. I just implore the brothers, man, that to stick with the process, man, because it's a lot of traps that's being laid, for us that that feel like we don't have a position in the ranks, that we got to go and reinvent something, man. We got a lot of work to do together, Brother Kenyon, and now it's time for us to unite, brothers, because y'all, it's no more young brothers no more. All these dudes got children, been married, are married. So I look at them brothers as men, and so when we come together, it's men. I'm no better than nobody because of what I've endured. In fact, I don't wish what I had to endure on my worst enemy. I just don't.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother DRon, and thank you, Brother Christopher, for saying. Brother Christopher says wise words of wisdom. Sister Miriam, thank you. You already know certified what's going on over here. Brother DRon, with your let's lighten the mood up a little because we were serious about death row and death threats. What do you do for fun?
Man, hike. I got I got a 2-year-old. He'll be 2, Kasir Muhammad. Man, I hang with my little dude, man. That's my joy. That's my man. That's that little guy, man. He amazes me, man. He's a joy. So thank his mother, Sister Keely, man. She did it, man, with the help of Allah. I like to go hiking. I love the beach. I used to like basketball, man, but my limbs don't work with me no more. But I'm very athletic. I like athletes, and I love to clown. When we not serious and on details, you're gonna always catch me, bro. Having a little levity, and
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, I like to laugh.
Praise be to Allah. Okay, Brother Ronald says all this wisdom and Josh still paying. Brother, if you know what Naperville is, you already know I have to. That's just they will not
That's
let
right.
me live.
Represent, Josh.
they would not let me.
The suburbs.
I gotta claim where I'm from.
Yeah.
Brother DRon, how was it working with Michael Jackson?
Oh wow. To me, it was an adventure. Every day was an adventure. It was a stressful post, I want to say, because when we first went, we were supposed to be 3 days on, 3 days off. When we got to Vegas, it was like, this is a full-time job, just 7 days a week and no days off pretty much. And it was like, wait a minute, hold up. And the brothers is cold. I'm telling you, man, you can start messing with the Muslims. They be like, but if you don't want to accept the terms, my bad, we'll fly you back if you don't want to, you don't want to stay on. And it was like, brother gave you a cold ultimatum and you signed the contract. But I was like, man, so I had some learning curves on coming this way with the brothers. But dealing with MJ, it was cool because we got to work with Mile 75. That's my surrogate mile. And man, and we got so close.
Can you clear where that is for the public so they can know where
Mile 75 is in Las Vegas. It's on D Street. Okay. And those brothers, man, I can name them all too, man, because when we went there, we had got real close. and brothers began to attend the mosque again. You know what I'm saying? The charity went up, the papers went up, you know, because that was just one of the things that we mandated. So when we were on the detail, I would always tell the brothers that we got to make sure that we look out for one another, because it might seem like it's just a cool post, but if somebody is want to get to a billionaire and you stand between them and that billionaire, imagine what they'll do to you. So my thing was, we don't lose a man. We can lose this job. I don't care about that, but we're not going to lose an FOI, because I've always had that type of concern for whatever I represented. So it was stressful to the point I never unpacked my luggage. If you went in my room, you always seen my luggage ready to go, because I never thought in knowing how, you know, those type of details come and go. You know, anything can change at the hat. So I never fell in love with it. I never fell in love with being there, but there was a lot of perks. There's a lot of things that I learned from Michael, because I was his driver. I did the route, starting off, and then I became the head of the security at that time. And brother Steve Muhammad, shout out to brother Steve, man, because he pulled me up. He came to the studio and he said he had something that he wanted if I was interested. And brother, I was on federal probation at that time, and brother actually got me, my probation officer, to allow me to go to another state and live there and get the details. So I'm very much indebted to brother Steve, and he's very instrumental on the West Coast and what we're doing out here, especially now. So Pete, yes, shout out Big Steve.
Yes, sir. Was there anything that Michael Jackson ever said to you that was like, you know, it was cool, like kind of relationship? I know it might not be a big deal to you, but to everybody else, Michael Jackson is a huge deal.
I see, growing up, and it was different, right? Growing up gangbanging, we didn't do Michael Jackson. You know, we was more in the Parliament, you know, the Funkadelic. We was more in the Fatback. You know, I mean, we was more, you know, P-Funk and oldies. You know, we wasn't wearing penny loafers like you and them, Josh, with the Thriller jacket and all of that. I'm just telling you, bro. I didn't do that, because that was like, you know, the dude. You know, I was in the era where he changed like rapidly. You know, he went from, you know, with the big nose, and then
yes, sir.
So I was like, whoa, you know. So I wouldn't do it. But when I used to play pool, because my son Malik had came to stay with me, I got custody of him. So brother Steve and them brother Captain Halim allowed me to actually have my son come stay with me out there, because we had a house we called it the Cabana House, with swimming pools, with the jacuzzi. It was all paid for, you know. So it was a good time. And my son used to always play pool, and he'd always play Michael Jackson. And I used to be like, wow. And then I started to like his music, right? But I didn't grow up being a fan, but I grew up to respect him. I remember one time Michael Amir had me come to Los Angeles, and the man I had to bring back a U-Haul full of books. That was so amazing. He was so well read. I mean, it was nothing that you can talk to him about that pretty much that he didn't know about. He respected the minister, and that's what made us respect him, you know. But other than that, you know, his personal thing, you know, we got a million and I don't want to get to telling you his, you know, certain things. I know. Nah, I'm just saying, I know I don't want to injure your memories of MJ, man, and none of that. I want you to still be. You like, he made Thriller, man. Thriller. You know. Hey, but no, man. On the real though, it was And I want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because when have you ever seen a felon be able to be entrusted with things like that? I remember it was a storage I had in my name, brother, that had millions of dollars in valuables in it. And that's what I think about most when I think about uh, the, the detail, how we kept his integrity, while we kept FOI protocol intact, man, where we had our structure, and that, you know, the few brothers that had got fired, they fired themselves. But for the most part, we was able to show him what Islam is. For instance, we went to Neverland, right? And I was like, wow, it was amazing, bro. It was like we went to another planet. So we went to Neverland, and one thing about me is wherever I'm at, wherever the flag is flown, wherever the flag of Islam is flown, I fall in under that mob. So we was almost up north. So I called the brothers up north and was like, at Mars 26B, that's Oakland. And I was like, look, I said, man, get some brothers. I want to hire y'all. And we paid them 24 hours around the clock to pack up Neverland, you know? And that was just the most beautiful time. And it was just so spacious. You could see the big jumbotrons, man. It was so big, I let my son at that time, he probably was 12, I let him drive a vehicle, because it was nothing that you can wreck to. You know, we seeing trains and going in the movie theater, and, you know, just being brotherhood, staying in the cottages, and just having that opportunity to serve him and to show him what real Islam is, and that he can trust us, and that he entrusted his safety to us, and that we delivered. That was the most important thing. To the time that I got relieved off the detail, that was the most impactful thing that has stood out. And the brothers that was on the detail, you would have to be around us for us to share, you know, when he fell off the little scooter. And,
see, that's what I'm saying. No, I don't care.
You know.
Okay, brother Paul Muhammad says, I remember you, brother D.Ron Muhammad. This is brother Paul Muhammad. Please hit me on Facebook.
X, D.Ron.
Yes, sir. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, boom. Okay, thank you for that question, brother Paul. Brother D.Ron, what was it? What were you doing around the time of the Meeman March?
Moving, yeah, yo. Yeah, yo.
Okay, so yes, sir. So you still in the streets? Yes, sir.
Hey, but look, we in my studio, right? So I told you, well, I skipped over this part. You didn't ask. So I finally got out. It's 94. I had y'all call it trap houses now. So I got a spot on 88. And we used to see this big bright light. And we used to be like, oh, they raiding. We think it's the helicopter. So we would stash everything and be ready to flush our work. And then you can hear somebody like, Bashir. And so we peek out, and his brother Bashir, Muhammad, that was Michael Jackson's head of security before we got on. And Bashir would be digging in his backyard. And so one day I asked him about that. And then, if you know Bashir told me he was digging a bomb bunker for when, there'd be a nuclear fallout, that they can survive, and how much food he was going to have, and that amazed me. Then he told me he was a Muslim.
Okay, hold on. Once, Brother Ron, can you repeat yourself? Because it froze up. Can you say it one more time?
On what part?
On he was building, you said Brother Bashir was building, and then it like froze.
Yeah, he was digging in his backyard, but he was digging and making a bomb bunker for him and his family. And so we was like, whoa, I thought I was militant, because my whole crew wore fatigues, and we was, really active. So we wore mechanic suits and steel-toe boots. That was our uniform. But we really wore military fatigue. And so I looked, and so I would start talking to him. So we hit it off real good. So Bashir used to come and drop the final calls to me. And when he dropped the final calls, I would give him dollar for dollar. I would pay him. I give him whatever that he dropped. If he dropped 2 bundles, I'll give him $200. It wasn't no problem. And I'll buy all his pies if he had pies. So, but when you came to my spot, if you wanted an ounce, you got an ounce in the final call. So it sounds blasphemous, but you meet a man where he's at. Brother met me at the spot, and he showed me, and he would help me, and he would invite me in his house, and I would sit there, and his children would watch. For cartoons, they'd watch the drill. Like, they'd be like looking at drill, old drill tapes, nice to be like, and it always amazed me. And when I would go in his house, his wife and the female of his children, they would go in another room, and we would talk. And so that was how I began to really come this way in Mile 27. And then brother would invite me out, and he had an incident with one of my homeboys where he wrecked his lowrider. The homie got out and was about to try to attack Bashir, and I ran up on him, and then he apologized. And Bashir had his Nation of Islam badge, so he thought Bashir was the police. So he was like, "Oh, police ass nigga, whoa, whoa, whoa," and he owned him, right? And I ran out the gate, and I was like, "Well, back up off the brother." I was like, "That's the brother, he's from the Nation." And they was like, "What? You nigga just wrecked my car." I was like, "Fuck your car," and Bashir tell you. And so Bashir, I began to get shamed because, like, I would try to make a sale, but if they was out there, I wouldn't make a sale, And so I began, when brother would give us the paper, we would read the paper, and he would give us DVDs, and we would look at the DVD, and that was part of me maturing and him continuing to evolve me to come this way.
Yes, sir. Okay, excellent. Were there any other celebrities that you had a good relationship with?
I worked with Cat Williams, and Cat Williams used to open my show. He used to open my I used to buy out. It's called the Key Club now, but it used to be Billboard Live on Hollywood Boulevard, on Sunset Boulevard, and I would just buy the club out, whatever they wanted for the club. We'd just cash them out, and now the club is ours for that night. And we do showcases with my artists, and Cat had opened up a few shows for me, and I got them on DVD. I was thinking about releasing them soon, but
okay. Yes,
that's
sir.
And so that's how that happened. And I was working with Cat when I came off the Michael Jackson detail. Me, Fahim, and Fahim brothers, and so that was an adventure in itself. But when we was in Atlanta, we drove to Atlanta, from California to Atlanta, and when Cat went to jail out there, but I had left the detail, I just quit. I couldn't do it no more. Based on, he had disrespected some FOI. The captain disrespected Brother Oliver, and I got at him real foul because I don't play or tolerate the disrespect of the fruit. And even though I brought him out there, I was the brother, that was over his detail, but he paid me already for 3 months. He paid me up front the same day. So I was already paid, but I was done, so, but I respect Cat, beautiful, another beautiful brother, very intelligent, man, that brother, man, just sitting in his driveway at night, the only funny thing I can tell you, in this divulge, he would leave all his cars running, right? And so I'll be like, man, why your car? He'll leave a Phantom just sitting there, and it'll run the whole day. Hey, man, you want me to cut off that car? He'd be like, no. He say, the day I can't afford gas is the day I shouldn't be having a $300,000 car.
Okay.
I said, well, if that's how you feel, yeah. But every car, every bike, everything, but Cat was, and he has a beautiful heart. Everywhere I've ever been with Cat Williams, if we went in a restaurant or he went to eat, he'd pay for everybody to eat. When we leave a hotel, Cat Williams, he would give like $100 bills to the maid, to the people who clean the room, and another thing, when we started off with just us, by the time we got to Atlanta, he done picked up a man from eating out the garbage can. He got this man that was, the twirling the sign. He done
Yeah,
brought
yeah,
them
yes, sir,
with
yes,
his
sir,
brother.
yes, sir,
He
yes,
was
sir.
picking people up and just, so yeah, man. So, we worked with Cat. I did, some things with Steve Harvey through Brother Terrence that's out there
Yes, sir.
in LA. Really just this shadow protection, because LA politics is something different. So I would come through as needed. But I'm not a big a celebrity guy, so to speak, because my thing, the biggest celebrities that I know are the FOI.
Yes,
And if you
sir,
would have
yes,
seen
sir.
us performing, and anybody will tell you that. I don't care who you are, man. You know, yeah, I met y'all leader. Okay, praise be to Allah. But if you don't, and again, bro, I'm not a big political person. I'm straight what I know, a fruit of Islam, and I love the believers, bro. And I'm not talking about I love the little man, bro. And,
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
and I always, looked at that scripture that said, "Let the best among you be the servant." And it's so often that I see that everybody want to be the big man in here, and it has got to the point with me that it was a point, brother, where I would just get up and just go to the mosque and clean the mosque, go clean the bathroom, go vacuum. We don't got a vacuum. I take my vacuum from the house, go vacuum. And then it got to the point to where I would scrape the grass and the weeds in the cracks outside on the street, because that's the only time I didn't have an issue. Only time I didn't have an issue, because there ain't nobody fighting to be the janitor. I seen that. Ain't nobody fighting, bro, to make sure that person, that believer that leaves on that bus, ain't nobody gonna fight you to say, no, pick them up and you take them wherever they gotta go. So those are some of the things that I'm known for in my walk with Islam. Another thing that, and brothers can bear witness, that if you were ever to say, brother, I like that suit, and it was a time, and it still is, I can go in the mall and just walk out with a suit. Of course, I'll take care of it later, but I can go there based on my word and who I was past tense,
Yes, sir,
and
yes,
I
sir.
can go and I can get what I want. So I would always get brothers suits. I would get me suits and have really nice, expensive suits. I didn't think a suit was a suit if it didn't cost $1,000 or more. So, and I always wore Gators, Murrays, um, and so if you tell me you like my suit, I always thought that my suit looked better on you, and I would always get a brothers my suits. So the brothers that used to travel with us, because there was a time when Captain Halim would tell me to go out in our region, through the Western region, and begin to train with the mob. So that's how I'm known in Mod 75, known in Fresno, Bakersfield, where we don't even have a mosque, where we would go there on Saturday and we would push, you know, go to Phoenix, go hold FY class in San Diego, go out in Rialto, in the surrounding areas. And when you would say, oh, you like the tide, and it was your time. If you like this, so when you really see that some people would say that brother give you the shirt off his back. I never did it to be known. I've always did it because I always wanted to see my brother shine. And it was the same that I did in the streets. When my homeboys would come with me to the mall, whatever I bought, I would buy you the same thing. Whatever we ate, when we go to these expensive restaurants, we can't even pronounce stuff on the menu, but we just went because this is the end thing. We got to go
Yes, sir.
with the Shea Whiteys. And so we'll
Yes,
be
sir.
over there and we'll be eating. And, that was no problem for me. But I have a genuine love for the brotherhood, for the men of Islam in particular. And this is what I love to do in regards to being a registered member of the Nation of Islam. Because, again, it ain't a whole bunch of competition down there, bro. When you gotta say, hey, you gotta buy that brother his meal. You ain't nobody gonna fight you for that.
Yes, sir.
You know, when we all out eating. And Brother Marcus is good for that. Brother Marcus, we'll all be at the Cheesecake Factory after we'll have a detail. And Marcus will pull out his credit card, brother, and put it on the table and say, let's go. And everybody be puzzled. They be looking like, you know, who does that? Your father would say, what manner of a man is that? And I'm telling you, bro, that I can testify because I love that. I like to testify about the workers in Islam. I mean, no, those that work without consideration, that don't want to be known. I pride myself on this. When brothers say they used to travel with the team, and they say, man, have you ever? I pride myself on the fact that the minister don't know my name because I never been there trying to get an audience with the Christ. I've been there to help and to work. And what I heard and what I've seen, I've always tried to come back and replicate it in my community. I don't want to be the big cheese. Oh, the minister told me this. And I'll be like, damn, do you know if he put that on you, do you know the type of work you should be doing with the information that you just received? No, I'm for real. Do you know if he, gave you that type of breath and breathed that inspiration into you? Do you know? And so it's not that I was scared, but I'm the type of brother that instead of me going in and trying to be part of the diamond, I would always go downstairs and make sure that the men in the car, bro, you ate, you all right? That man on the corner that's been there since we left. I want to make sure, bro, are you okay? How long? Damn, you been here 5 hours? No relief? No relief? Oh, okay, come here, bro. I'm going to relieve you, but go get your lieutenant. Then he come talk to me. And I'll take that lieutenant and put that lieutenant on that post, brother. And just so he can see how that feels. And just trying to be more together as men. And I don't know if that's a lot of FY talk that, but that's just, me in a nutshell. I know sisters on here too, so I would, maybe not go as hard.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, Brother DRon, and thank you all for your comments. Brother Ronald says, man, this may be your best interview. So powerful. I needed that. But thank you, Brother Ronald. Brother Derek, deep stuff. So Khadijah is just choosing. Brother Paul Muhammad says, Brother Joshua, thank you for your interviews. You're doing a great job. And thank you, sir. Brother DRon, I want to let you know that I love you and we appreciate your hard work. And you have always looked out, and everything that you're saying off the record, you have lived in front of me. Everything I've observed, you've always been an honest and straightforward brother, which I respect. Which can be intimidating at sometimes, but I still respect you. But I thank you, Brother DRon. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule, bro.
Hey, but look, it's a trip that only the Muslims say that, but then when you go in the community, they be like, man, that brother changed. And then when you come over, oh, that brother turned up. So I'm confused as hell, man. I don't, and I know, look, I know there's no recipe or there's no one straight path or formula for success, but I know the recipe for failure is trying to please everyone. And
yes,
I had to stop trying to please people because sometimes you just for not to be confrontational, you try to black down, but it's on this day, the day and time that we living in, bro, we got to step up. And I tell any brother that's in Los Angeles, that's out here right now, man, if you're not checked in, come check in. This is a new day. We under brother Abdul Malik, and he said that his name is for the body of believers, and Malik is those who settle disputes. And we could take a big thing from Mosque 15 that I've seen that has been of the foremost in establishing the ministry, especially the 10-10-15 ministries of defense. So we want to thank you, brothers, as well. But what we doing on the Nipsey piece, it won't stop. It won't be televised. And some of the Facebook brothers, y'all, y'all need to come on and check back in, bro. Let's make sure that we can tighten up our brotherhood so that we can become a pillar of our community, in which we've been. But at the same time, with the uptick, the uprise of violence, with the minister that just came in our city and delivered, we have an inroad right now to where we can make a decisive victory, but we can make a difference because it's ready. The people are primed with the blood, with the hurt, with the savage behavior. Now it's time that for us who really live that life, I know that I owe back to my community. And I'll leave you with this. When I was with Michael Jackson on the airplane, we was coming from uh, Vegas to Los Angeles, and the only time I've ever been on the Lear jet, and we drove up to the airport. I ain't never, we drove up to the plane, so I cleared
Yes,
the
sir. Yes,
plane.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
when I get on the plane, I get him on, Michael Amir and Brother Kim, and we had Blanket with us. That's one of the children.
Yes, sir.
And so we was doing a Christian Ardigier, which is Ed Hardy, the owner of Ed Hardy. He had a birthday party, so Michael Jackson went, and when we took him there, I remember I'm sitting on the airplane. The stewardess asked me what I want. I'm like, I said, what's on the menu? She said, well, there's really no menu. What would you like? We pretty much have everything. I'm like, how they got everything on a plane, But she was like, what do you want? And then I ordered, and of course they had what I wanted, right? But anyway, so it's a button on the plane, and I tell everybody this. I'm tripping off. I mean, this plane is immaculate, but it's a button, and on the button you push it, and it's just make the seat go from under the table to over here in the aisle, and then you push it again, and it just slides you back in. I'm like a little boy. I did that the whole flight, right? Because it just amazed me, right? So MJ and them, they up there, they sitting on the couch, and so I'm in the back. So I finished eating, and I remember looking out the window, and I said, and just in my a voice told me, it said, this ain't for you. You got a suffering community that's out there, and you help to build these wars. Some of the wars that these dudes are still fighting was some of the wars that I initiated, helped to initiate, and that I could tell you how these beefs started, and it said go back to your community. And not soon after, when the leadership had changed and everything, I just got relieved. One day we was in California, I get a phone call. They like, oh brother, you're not needed today. And, I'm supposed to be, and all the brothers wanted to quit. So I tell the men, I'm like, look, no sir. I said, brother, because I know every brother that I know that worked with us. I know your children. I know how you met your wife. I know, cause we just be, we got tight like that.
Yes, sir.
And I'll say, no, brother, you got to make sure that your son and that your wife eat. I said, don't worry about me, and from that point forward, I went back into my community and I began to work. And it's not something that everybody could do, and it's not something that everyone is running to. And even now with the Nipsey Hussle thing, since we were staunch enemies with that neighborhood, it's a big drawback right now because my community aren't at the table for peace at this particular time. But this is something that we're working on. So that's why I'm telling the brothers, are even asking the brothers, if you have uh anything, man, for what you was taught by way of Islam in your heart, if you was ill affected by someone or whatever it was, if you really want to push, if you really want to get out here, if you really want to work your Islam, work off your sin, come back to the mosque. Let's organize, let's strategize, let's get in the field and get off these damn phones. Brother Joshua is the only brother that can get me to get on here, talk even assemblies, because I don't even know what I said. I know I held back a lot, but I'm just saying, bro, let's fall back in love with each other. Let's do the work, man, and let's raise the flag of Islam as we were taught, and let's do what's expected of us, and let's make our communities better, safer places for us to live, man. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Brother DRon. I just want to read this last comment. Sister
Yes, sir.
Linda ASA, so happy to see you healthy, Brother DRon. I mean, so happy to see you healthy. Uh, Brother Amir, Captain Shahid son says, all facts, one of the most solid FOI. Love you, Brother DRon. Brother
See, now
Ronald.
you're gonna get me in trouble. Now you're gonna have them brothers to run to the top. Yeah, no, we good. Right. Thank you, Brother Shahid.
Perfect.
Was
No,
that
that's his
Shahid?
son.
Was that Shahid?
No, that's his son.
Who?
That's his son. Amir, Brother Amir, his son.
Oh yeah, Mir tight. I'm liking Brother Mir.
Yes, sir. And Brother DRon, DRon, anything I can do. If you need any help from people from Naperville or in Atlanta down here, we got your back. So whatever we can do to help squash the beef out there west, let me know.
No, well, y'all got remnants of that out there. So
yes, sir.
I think what has to happen is, that brothers got to just take the initiative to handle what's going on in your backyard, go in the SWATs, because I come to Atlanta, that's my I gotta, hey, I miss Stone Mountain. I gotta come up there, man, and go pray. I always, every time I'm in Atlanta, I go to Stone Mountain. It makes a lot. Brother Abdul Malik gave me the history of it, and it always changes me, and it gives me a perspective to come back to LA and really go harder. But what we're doing right now in LA is getting us together. So Long Beach, Compton, Rialto, all of the brothers that's out there, man, we want to make sure, that we can get ahead of the next surge of violence and standing between the gun and our people and showcase, man, what we got, because we got something with it. Brother, and I'll leave you with this. I thought I was done at Nipsey Hussle funeral because we had a detail. And so after the detail, they gave me Lower London. So we was on, me and another brother out of Rialto, Brother Dante, we had the Lower London detail. And so we thought that we was done because we couldn't do that procession because they had already left. And we think we finna leave, and Brother Tony drove up on me. He said, hey, I said, he said, where you going? I said, I'm going to my car. I'm thinking it's a wrap, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Said, no, get in. They in a truck, brother. It's illegal to ride around in the bed of a truck. So Brother Oliver's son, and man, he got big, man. I'm proud of that young soldier too. Captain Oliver, his son was in the back. So me and brother, we jumped up, and man, we started working and getting and being in that procession, that marathon procession. And Brother Tony would say this. He would say, FY. He said, man, y'all superhero. And I thought he was clowning because, I rode with him for like 8 years straight from me coming home. And so, Brother Tony, man, he's serious, but man, you will love being with him. You know what I'm saying? Because brother keep it, man, we'll be dying. So he kept saying it. And then when I start looking around, and when we start taking control, and when the people start calming down, and when we start walking the hearse, and when we went to the after the hearse, then we went over to the mortuary because it was surrounded. Lower London, nobody could get out. The family was stuck. And so when we got there, bro, by the help and mercy of Allah, the 60s would even help us, So and it's like it's ready. And those brothers at first, it was back and forth because they do what they want to do in their community. And man, when we start working with them brothers, man, and we start getting the crowd out, Brother Tony went out, man, pushed the crowd back to him. We got in between them and the police. And I looked at it, I said, man, brother is on to something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we don't have no capes. We ain't Captain Save Us, but we are saving our people, bro. We superheroes in that sense. And I seen that. And I want to thank my homeboy for allowing that procession to come through a great part of our neighborhood, and only small skirmishes happen. The news put out that, it was a triple murder, a triple shooting, one murder that happened on Main, and they tried to say it was part of the Nipsey Hussle procession, and it wasn't. But of course, that's the news. But we're in LA, man. We're on fire. I want to thank all the brothers that worked with us, because it's just not one brother. And one brother, we represent a body, And this is just my particular angle, or what I've been blessed to live and experience. But man, I wish I was an FOI a long time ago, brother. And you know, and in me saying that the minister don't know my name, I just want him to know my work, because that's not important. I just think that long as our work is being done in our community, that this is something, brother, that would impact the whole world. And we want to stump so hard out here that y'all feel it out there in the A. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And when y'all stump harder, that they can feel it in areas that you can affect, brother. So
Absolutely.
Thank you again, brother Josh.
Thank you. Love you, brother Ron.
Love you too, sir.
Yes, sir. Something like that.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you all for watching.